Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about the accused assassin Tyler Robinson. So this is from 2KU TV. Accused assassin Tyler Robinson appears in person in court for the first time. So this goes on to say that Provo, Utah, Tyler Robinson, accused of shooting and killing political activist Charlie Kirk, appeared in person in court for the first time. The hearing was for the judge to hear from the prosecution and defense on whether Robinson could wear civilian clothes in court and if he was required to wear shackles. What? Like, okay. Is that just stupid to me? Because why? Why is this even a reason to come into court to talk about, hey, can I wear, like, jeans? Like, what the hell? That's just stupid. But let's go on. She argued that wearing plain clothes and appearing without physical restraints were part of his right to a fair and impartial trial and the presumption of innocence. Bruh, he's not innocent. Like, excuse me. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think he's innocent. And I think it's hilarious that, you know, they're trying to say that, but, you know, whatever. This is the whole reason why we have the Constitution, right? I mean, everybody is presumed innocent in the court of law. Well, most people, because apparently that only works for the left. You know, us people on the right, we're never allowed to be presumed innocent. Anyways, she noted throughout the hearing the massive media attention the case has received, saying, quote, "The world is watching Mr. Robinson and these proceedings." She argued that seeing him in a suicide robe, bulletproof vest, and shackles would make it more difficult to get a fair trial. Attorney Sky Lazaro, who is not involved in the case, asked about why Nestor would want Robinson unshackled and in civilian clothing. Quote, "In cases like this, it's getting so much publicity, you want prospective jurors to see your client or the defendant as a human being instead of parading in and out of court in shackles and in jail garb, which just tends to make people believe that they're guilty of kind of plant that seed in the back of people's minds," she said. Quote, "When you're able to put them in street clothes, then they're seen as real people by the public." The prosecution's argument against this was sealed. The judge has already set a hearing for Monday at 1 p.m. to make a ruling on this matter. All of this being pushed through before Robinson's next court appearance next Thursday. This will be the first time the public will see Robinson in person and in court. So that was that article. So let's go ahead and jump right into the video. This is from Fox News Clips, and this is McEnany. I cannot get this out of my head, so let's go ahead and jump in.
A Utah judge overseeing the case against Charlie Kirk's accused killer holding a closed-door hearing today. It's expected to deal with a request from the defense to allow the suspect Tyler Robinson to wear street clothes and be unshackled in court. Now, the motion requesting the court allows Robinson to, quote, "appear at all proceedings in civilian attire and to be without physical restraints during all in-person hearings." And the motion points to the University of Idaho murders case, where then-defendant Brian Kohberger was allowed to wear street clothes in court. Robinson's defense team also hopes to keep the media at a distance, saying in a filing this: Mr. Robinson agrees with the sheriff that the court should limit media coverage or video and photographic coverage at the least, so defendant's physical appearance is no longer the subject of interest, and he has some chance of securing a fair and impartial jury. Kaylee, I'm curious your thoughts as an attorney and also a master of communications, given that obviously criminal defendants appear in court every day, all day. And we've seen both occur. We see as well the Mangione case here, where that defense team was accused of taking advantage of the court's leniency with letting the defendant wear a suit. And sort of the concept goes, well, if it's so impartial, if it's so prejudicial here, then it would be for the millions of other defendants that don't get the luxury of a suit being handed to them by their defense team.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And we know with Mangione, there was some criticism there that he got some preferential treatment. So why does Mr. Robinson want this? And where does he get off suggesting that he deserves this or is owed this? You know, I just refreshed my constitutional law background here. Fifth Amendment, you get the protection against self-incrimination, double jeopardy. You get your due process rights from the Sixth Amendment. You get the speedy and public trial, impartial jury, right to counsel, and then the right to compel witnesses. Nowhere in here, Mr. Robinson, is there a right to wear street clothes. Yeah, you can request that. You certainly don't have a right to that. What I do know is the evidence against Tyler Robinson is strong. There is a text message where he methodically recounts what he had done in a very cold and sadistic fashion in the aftermath. There is the fact that he joked about being his doppelganger who did this on Discord. And then there's that line in his text message thread, which I can never get out of my head. I had enough of Charlie Kirk's hatred. Some hatred cannot be negotiated out. The evidence is strong. Of course, you get the presumption of innocence. That's one of your constitutional rights, but you don't get the right to wear plain clothes.
My question for you, Rosanna, too, is as we covered Koberger's motions on behalf, or his attorney's motions on behalf of him that are trying to prevent him from paying restitution to the victims' families, we talked about how there are certain things that you have to do as an attorney to ensure that you are giving your client the best representation possible. And then there's stuff that, you know what, you don't need to go there. And I wonder if here the majority of Americans are looking at this and thinking, you know what, you don't need to go there.
I don't know. It's not just about the clothing. It's about controlling the optics of the case. And let's face it, everything gets taken out of context. So I think they want to make sure they control the optics. And, I'm not a lawyer. I sleep with a lawyer. My husband's a lawyer.
And you sit next to one.
Yeah. Right, exactly. I'm surrounded by lawyers. But I do know that it's all about optics in court, right? The jury is swayed by optics. And the fact they also want to limit media access to Mr. Robinson's case, it has to do with his connection with Fox News. He was beloved here. He was part of the fabric of Fox News. And I think, they know that Fox News is very popular out there, and they want to control that, too.
And that's something that I wanted to bring up with you, Cheryl, is that interestingly, so with the judge committed to transparency, the reality is there's been a lot of...
Isn't that funny how, the left is always asking for all these big asks, right? They're always like, oh, but democracy, oh, my constitutional rights. And it's like, all I can think of is everything this dude is asking for is just plain stupid. It's a waste of the court's time. And I feel like, why are we always the ones having to bend over backwards for these crazy ass leftist people? They don't do that for the right. You don't see them bitching and moaning or crying for democracy and constitutional rights when it happened to the J6ers, when it happened to Kyle Rittenhouse. Anytime somebody in the right has to go to court for something, they don't there's no outcry or pour of emotions from the left. If anything, they're encouraging this and they're laughing about it and they're lying. Because that whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing, kind of to refresh people's memory, the people on the left kept saying, oh, and the only reason I'm saying this is because my fam who just gets their news from Facebook be telling me this all the time. Oh, Kyle Rittenhouse, he had an AR and, he crossed, state lines illegally to do that, which he didn't. He lived there. His mom lived there. He lived between both his parents' house. And then they would say he killed 3 black guys, which he did not do. He actually was being attacked, and there's video footage of that horrific incident. And he gave warnings, and he shot these people because they tried to take his weapon. They tried to murk him. And the one black guy that was in the video that was going to hurt him, when Rittenhouse, pointed the weapon, the dude was like, I'm unarmed, and Kyle Rittenhouse put it down. And then the guy left. So nobody that was black was injured by Kyle Rittenhouse. But you love to see how the people on the left like to change this narrative when it suits them. I swear, the left is like that crazy psycho ex-girlfriend that be stalking you and lying about you just because they're jealous because they can't be with you. The hell? So let's keep going.
Security threats. And therefore, some even of the filings, for example, the prosecutor's reply to this motion has been withheld for security considerations. So the reality is that the public's not even getting the full record, although many of Americans saw the horrific record of the assassination on social media.
And to Kayleigh's point, there's so much evidence in this case that is going to come to light if indeed there is a trial. But if there is a trial, it seems that these new attorneys, who obviously are volunteering their time, they came in from, if I'm not wrong, California, I believe, Emily, these two attorneys, they're looking for their moment to cash in on fame and fortune by representing this defendant. They know it's going to be a high-profile case if it goes to court. As I've said before on the couch, really hope it doesn't because of the pain that it's going to cause the family and people having to relive what happened to Charlie. At the same time, though, they're looking for that, like Luigi Mangione, that social media star. That, I mean, Luigi Mangione, $800,000 was fundraised for him. He killed a father of two on the streets of New York, frankly, in cold blood, and he $800,000 donated to him. That's the kind of sick world that we're in. These attorneys, unfortunately, know that. And so that's why they want him in plain clothes. That's why they want to make sure that they're controlling the message, because it's all about clickbait. It's all about TikTok, unfortunately.
Yeah. And look, I don't want to make a mockery of this, but what were his street clothes? They were furry. So what is he going to do, show up in a cat costume? Doctor, I want to come to you with the devil's advocate concept, which is when you go into a trial where all evidence points to this person being, you know, let's not mess around here. It's him, right? The question is, well, then should the attorneys do everything within their power to ensure then on the appeal, you know, all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted? Like, in a way, it's easier to focus on these logistical details because the actual culpability is so obvious.
Yeah, that's a great point made by a great attorney. Again, two attorneys on the couch. My pillow talk is medical. But let me tell you where I come out. I agree with that point, and I thought a lot about this. And there's also historical precedence for this. A lot of times, judges will say plain clothes because they want to ensure presumed innocence on the part of the jury. There's precedence to this. But Kayleigh's points are really strong about who this guy is. And Rosanna's point about optics is really strong. And he's already been tried in the public eye and in the media. I think that it would be best served if he comes in shackles, because that reminds the jury who he actually is. I'm on the side of the original argument here, but I also see the other side, which is, again, we have to have a jury that will presume him to be innocent. I don't want him paraded around as something off of TikTok and people dissociate and forget who he is.
Yeah, and you know, statistically, like, for example, Brian Thompson's killer here, it's always the ones that have the money and these high-profile attorneys. Oh, we'll do it pro bono because we love the limelight. They're the ones that get these motions and get to appear in nice suits. And the reality is that the defendants we see in shackles all day, every day, are always the lower income in certain communities. And so where's the, you know, why don't we even the playing field there? Hey, everyone, I'm Emily Campagna.
So you guys seen that, heard that. How do you guys think the case is gonna go? Like, I'm very curious about that one. Like, just like I'm still wondering what's going on with the one with the twins. Y'all remember that story where the one black dude stabbed the white kid at the track meet? And like, that story faded quickly in the background. That one did not have good optics at all. But in regards to Charlie Kirk's murderer or assassin, or whatever verbiage you want to use, what do you guys think? Like, how do you think it's going to end up? Do you think that the guy's going to be let off, or do you think he'll actually be punished for his crimes? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But I do want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. Till next time, guys.